Good morning, everybody. I'm here at 15 after the hour, which is later than I'm supposed to be. I'm working on it, but this is the last week of hell at my job, my morning job, I should say. My early morning job that has turned into an overnight job that I was going to say something really crude, but I'm not going there. Anyway, happy Tuesday. We're going to have a good show today, but we're all going to die too. So just thought I'd let you know that because that's the message coming from Washington, D.C., the White House, the president. Well, wait, I shouldn't say we, because the unwashed, as some would say, the purebloods are all going to die. That's the message. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. Yes, Queen. Stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Tuesday, the 21st of December, 2021. Yes, 12/21/21, the first day of winter, and it is snowing here in the Twin Cities. It's a lovely, light, pretty snow, just in time for Christmas, although we already had, we had snow on the ground. Okay, we had snow on the ground, right? When we came back last weekend, there were, we had 17, 18 inches of snow in my little suburb of the Twin Cities, and thank goodness my neighbor had already blown the snow off my driveway. Very kind of them. And, yes. Oh, Jess, I see you. Yeah, definitely got to love that night shift life. Yeah, these overnights are pretty amazing. Anyway, so, yeah, it was so nice to have my neighbor who blew the snow off my driveway. But now we're getting a nice light snow. Perfect timing for Christmas. It's going to be beautiful. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Anyway, the only problem is we've been told, at least, well, I wouldn't say, we've been told that it's going to be a long, dark winter. By the president. Yes, the inspirational Christmas message of hope being put out by the White House today is fantastic. And we're going to tell you about that and more as I get through the show. But first, let's say good morning to the people who got here bright and early. Even though it says there's only 8 people here, I know there's more than 8 people here. It just takes a time for the analytics to catch up. But I must say good morning. So first in the chat today, Avocados Diabli, the Devil's Advocate, got here first and gets the bell. Also, good morning, Somnambull Nation, Select a Boy. Yeah, boy. Also, good morning, Aaron Meredith, Somnambull Nation. Gulf City, Johnny Blaze, welcome back. Yes, I'm one of the people who remember my nickname's Lawyer Dog on another show. Also, good morning, Mike, good afternoon to Mike Savage, Blarg. Thank you for reminding me of that, Avocado Stably, because, it's afternoon for Mike. Also, good morning, Renee Mayette. Nobody, not me. Jess Phillips, that would be my son-in-law, my wonderful son-in-law, who we love very much. Also, good morning to, I already said nobody, not me. Well, that's everybody. Good Lord. Where is everybody? I remember to put the notifications out on all the, the various, whatchamacallits, the things that I'm PDawgKnight at, the social media things. Yeah, that's what it is. And, always lost nothing else here. Alone. Overnight shift in a warehouse. Welcome to my world. Yeah, I hear you. That's me. In fact, I it's funny because with these, normally I go in like 3:30 in the morning. I usually get home by 7:30 or 8. And but from the week before Thanksgiving until now, I go in at 10 o'clock at night, and I usually don't get home till roughly 9 o'clock, just because that's how it goes. But I choose to do that. I volunteer to do that, and it's always nice to fill up the coffers a little extra during the Christmas times and things like that. But, you know, it is what it is. So anyway, I'm going to get into it because there are a few things that popped up on news that popped up last night that I just wanted to kind of mention, and then some things that you'll be hearing today if you haven't heard it already. And the first one is just that they're turning into psychopaths. I'm just telling you. And in fact, here's the headline from PJ Media, and I saw this. Well, you saw it in my, if you saw my thumbnail for this show, you get the inspirational message from the White House. But here is how PJ Media puts it. The morning briefing. Democrat psychopaths to America, Merry Christmas, you're all gonna die. Because they're really caught up on this Omicron variant. And because the Omicron variant is the number one variant and the number one current pathogen that is sweeping the nation. But they keep, they're really caught up in the cases on the Omicron variant. But they keep forgetting to mention that the Omicron variant has a little bit more mild effects. So we'll get into that because I'm going to use a HuffPost article, which I don't think I can get in trouble for reading a HuffPost article. But anyway, here is the here's the happy. This is from who wrote this? Oh, Stephen Cruiser wrote this one, who says, "Happy Tuesday, dear Cruiser morning brief friends. They're doing magical things with kimchi if you just keep an open mind." I don't know what that means, but anyway, it has been one of those Decembers where my schedule has sort of kept me from getting into the Christmas spirit. Well, I can relate. I've had a really hard time getting into the Christmas spirit, but I've had several reasons for that, as you know. And it's been one of those Decembers where, okay, lame, I know, but that's how it's shaken out so far. Then again, are we even allowed to have a Christmas spirit this year? That's a great question. Good morning, Renee Mayette. Did I already say good morning, Renee Mayette? I think I did, but I just, you know what? I always got to make sure. Has anyone asked Dr. Anthony Fauci if it's okay to be in the Christmas spirit? Because he's kind of the go-to guy for permission on how to live our lives now, isn't he? I just got to give him a bell for that one. To the surprise of no one normal, the mask, vax, COVID panic porn Nazis are using the, oh my God, Omicron variant as the way to ratchet up the public health emotional terrorism they've been perfecting for almost 2 years now. This probably won't shock anyone. And I agree with Stephen Cruiser, who says, I'm not a fan. Steven, neither am I. These people kind of suck. Anyway, there was a time earlier this year when I was still able to be surprised by the depths to which these people could sink. No more. I now plan on them always being able to find new and disturbing lows like this one AJ wrote about, which I'll get to in a second. Here, wait, let me show you the graphic. There's a graphic for this. I took a screenshot of it. Hang on a second. Oh, here, I know where I put it. Hang on. I'll go into my little graphics file here and pull this one out. Where is it here? Right here. Open. I don't want it over there. I want it over here. Hang on. We'll put it right over here on the screen thing here, and we'll just go like this. Let's see if this shows up. Oh, it doesn't. Hang on. Where the hell did I find that? Anyway, okay, forget it. Let's just go back into the article. The White House, here's the White House's inspiring message. Hang on, let's see. Here we go. Oh, here it is right here. Here's from Twitter. The White House actually tweeted this. And even Olivia Newsy said that the unvaccinated Americans, who's a new subculture in the United States apparently, is not going to be persuaded by messaging like this. Here it is. Ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's get ready to throw up in this one. Here it is. This is from the White House, from the United States of America. This is the messaging that they think is going to be inspirational and persuasive. Here it is. Quote, "We are intent on not letting Omicron variant, disrupt work and school for the vaccinated. You've done the right thing. And we will get through this. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals that you may soon overwhelm."
I see dead people.
Are you inspired? That's their message. That's their message. Are you kidding me? You're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourself, your families, and the hospitals you may overwhelm. White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator Jeff Zients recently attempted to explain who said, quote, "So our message to every American is clear. There is action you can take to protect yourself and your family. Wear a mask in public indoor settings, get vaccinated, your kids get vaccinated, and get a booster shot when you're eligible." Now, what's funny about this is the Omicron variant, which is now the number one variant in people. You know, if you have this Omicron variant that seems to not being causing anyone to be hospitalized, right? And it's a variant that spreads around. Wouldn't that be the kind of what you want to have some kind of herd immunity? If it's the variant that's not killing people, it might help produce some antibodies against something variant of this disease. But no. You are looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your family, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. Holy shit. That's amazing. That's some amazing messaging. The White House loves taking credit for policy, so why not take credit for presiding over the fastest vaccine uptake in United States history? An extraordinary high majority of what most vulnerable Americans have chosen have chosen to be immunized against stupid 19. Instead, oddly terrified of increased case rates. Case rates. Notice they're still worried about cases. Team Biden remains silent about how they envision the slow end of this perpetual emergency. They clearly prefer scapegoating the unvaccinated.
I see dead people.
Which grows less plausible each day as transmission rates among the vaccinated rise. Remember that? Because even in the most states with the most vaccinated people, they're having a big old increase. And in fact, they're postponing part of the hockey season at the NHL. They just said they're going to postpone it until December 29th from now. Until then, they're going to give it a week because most of these players who are under the new stupid 19 protocol, they usually recover in about 3 to 4 or 5 days. So there's all the stuff. And in the NBA, oh, wait a minute. You have to see that. I'll show you this in a second. Let me show you an NBA starting lineup. And I have the questions about it, so I'll show it to you in a second. Anyway, so what is they? They clearly prefer scapegoating the unvaccinated, which grows less plausible each day as transmission rates among the vaccinated rise, and the more of the population achieves a level of immunity. Oh, no, they don't want to talk about any kind of acquired immunity. Notice I didn't say natural immunity, because that apparently is not something you're allowed to say, but I'll just say acquired immunity. The White House's edicts are overly broad. Many children are not eligible for vaccines, and even more parents will choose not to get their children vaccinated, since the danger posed by stupid 19 to children is minuscule, and the benefits of reduced transmission among children is potentially tiny. These children will not have a winter of severe illness and death. Meanwhile, don't look outside the USA. Countries with higher vaccination rates are still imposing draconian interventions like closures and curfews. Attempts to lock down the unvaccinated had no measurable effect on the spread in Austria, while vaccine passports show no positive outcomes in Scotland. So pushback and frustration begins. Massive government overreach by the Biden administration has ignited the fire in the bellies of freedom-loving Americans. Oh, I wish I had. I don't really have a. I need a patriotic soundbite. Anyway, Jebediah Bila wrote Monday in the Daily Mail, Americans are also questioning the immense power we've surrendered to big corporations over our once private decisions. Factually, the vast majority of people who contract stupid 19 have some form of immunity to it. The vast majority of the unvaccinated will also be folks under 60 who will survive, like 99.923% or something like that. I am among the survivors. Of course, there's 100 million of us, so it's not really that big a deal. Even if privileged Democrats prefer living in paranoia and the Biden administration desperately needs to project confidence in the vaccines or in people by communicating that this is the beginning of the end.
I see dead people.
Why not? Why won't they? Anyway, so now that I actually skipped to the other article, I'm going to go back to the one that I started on though. That's the message, man. That is the message. It's embarrassing. Somebody showed up here. Oh, well, no. What is going on? I wonder if I'm being shadow banned. Fixer, how you doing? Are you a real person, or are you just, I'm just curious. But if you are a real person, welcome. Because I've had a little bot issue lately, and so thank you. I do have one mod here. I'm going to have to add some more mods. But anyway, Fixer, let me know if you're real. I'm just curious. That I see you dropped a period there, but that's it. Damn it, PDawgKnight, you get me every time. What did I do? Did I say something funny? I don't know. Anyway, I'm known to occasionally do that. Oh, America, fuck yeah. Well, the problem with I can do that. Well, maybe I could probably get away with America, fuck yeah. Yeah, I could probably get away with that. That's a good one. Thank you. That's a good suggestion, Alone. I appreciate it. So, on last Friday's briefing, this guy suggested, only somewhat jokingly, that the panic porn tyrants be rounded up and imprisoned, perhaps even sent to the gulag. That's when I was operating under the impression that they were merely criminal tyrants. Oh, good. Okay. That's fine. I'm testing. That's fantastic. You are a real human being. I appreciate that. Upon further examination, I've now decided they're deeply mentally disturbed, more psychotic than criminal, although they are both. Forget the gulag. They need to be in a secure mental institution, perhaps a straitjacket or two. These unhinged lunatics keep haranguing unvaccinated Americans, even though it is now beyond obvious that the virus is an equal opportunity threat and doesn't see vaccinated or unvaccinated when it strikes anymore. We've got United States senators who have gotten their boosters but are now infected. The last two people I personally know who have gotten stupid 19 are fully vaxxed. That's most people. And the only Democrat these days who isn't going ballistic on those who aren't vaccinated is Vice President Kamala Harris, and all of the other Democrats hate her anyway. So anyway, it's incredible. It's incredible as I watch people bitch about unvaccinated people on Twitter too. It's like, hey, moron, Cory Booker, full triple jabbed. And Hotep Jesus came up with a new thing. What do you call it? Hat trick. He had a name for a hat trick. Good morning. Oh, Scribe's in the house. Good morning, Scribe. Dog Thrapple. What do you say? Hat trick. What was the third word? Not jabbed. Oh, hat trick pricked. I just thought that was hilarious. So now that's stuck in my head. Now hat trick pricked. But the thing is, though, it's gonna be something quadra pricked pretty soon, as it continues to grow, it'll be pentagon pricked, and then it'll be hepta pricked. So because they're just gonna keep it, if eventually you're gonna have to have 9 shots to be fully vaccinated. It's insanity. So anyway, let's see. Democrats urge. Which was that one then? No, this is the. Oh, so here's some other news on this. Now here's here's the legal insurrection version. Tuesday's Biden stupid 19 speech, desperately seeking a pandemic exit strategy. Now I distinctly remember, and maybe this was a really long time ago, but I distinctly remember. Roughly 8 months, it was August, I think, and there was a debate between, what's his name, the guy with the funny hair, and then the current, the former vice president, who's now kind of in the White House, at least in body. Anyway, I distinctly remember former Vice President Joe Biden saying that, Donald Trump never had a plan, and I have a plan to end the virus. I have a plan, right? And it seems to me that he's been in office for quite a while, and that plan I don't know. It's almost as if a virus doesn't give a shit what you do. But anyway, so this is another writer named Leslie Eastman who says, last week I began pondering why a spate of articles from progressive publications questioning the need for pandemic policies they have cherished for nearly 2 years. The New York Times brought up a salient and critical point I noted back in early 2020 about the need for enhanced ventilation. The influx of such analysis makes sense. Biden is reportedly eyeing a pandemic exit strategy. Biden and his team have all but ruled out new lockdowns, and behind the scenes, administration officials have been debating how to shift public attention from total number of cases, which appear likely to surge, even if many are mild, toward the number of severe infections that are overloading health systems and causing interruptions to normal life. So Biden's advisors are encouraging the administration to begin discussing publicly how to live alongside a virus that shows no signs of disappear. Now, wait a minute. Are they saying that this might be endemic? Possibly. Interesting. Where have I heard that before? Oh, I might have said that once or twice. Anyway. Steering public attention away from the total number of infections and towards serious cases only, as some of Biden advisors have encouraged, could prove a challenge after nearly 2 years of intense focus on the pandemic's every up and down. It is a part of a growing conundrum that Biden faces as the stupid 19 pandemic refuses to abate. We're getting to the point where it's about severity, said Xavier Becerra, the Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services, in a meeting with reporters this week. It's not about cases. It's about severity. Duh. It's duh. Anyway, Along with many other biosafety professionals, I've often noted the need to focus on the infection fatality rate. While it is difficult to calculate with stupid 19, as many asymptomatic people and deaths should be attributed to another cause are listed as stupid 19 fatalities, it is reasonable to assume that in the worst case, it is on par with severe flu. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube, but I just did because I read it right there in the article. There are also other signs that the pandemic panic that has been imposed upon us is about to subside. Well, in my neighborhood, it subsided quite a while ago. Anyway, the Wall Street Journal just published a piece entitled, quote, "The Fickle Science of Lockdowns," end quote. In it, authors Philip W. Magnus and Peter C. Earle of the American Institute for Economic Research assert that, quote, experts foresaw before stupid 19 that the current pandemic response strategy would fail, end quote, but, quote, the authorities embraced it anyway, end quote. Oh, because remember that, what was that called? The Great Barrington something or other? The Great Barrington something. That thing. Remember that? Because Dr. Fauci tried to suppress. Anyway, they reviewed the lessons learned from the Spanish flu and the Imperial College model used to press for lockdowns and came to a scathing conclusion. Oh, the Imperial College lockdown model? You know where that came from? That Dr. Neil Ferguson, his 14-year-old daughter did a science project, and that was her idea, and then he kind of expanded on that. Anyway, here's what the scathing conclusion is. Lockdown stringency is a poor predictor of COVID-related mortality. Our examination of the 50 U.S. states and 26 countries found no discernible pattern connecting the two, a basic expectation if lockdowns performed as the science often insists. So why did public health authorities abandon their opposition to lockdowns? Why did they rush to embrace the untested claims of flawed epidemiological modeling? One answer appears that in the Johns Hopkins study from 2019, quote, some NPIs such as travel restrictions and quarantine might be pursued for social or political purposes by political leaders rather than pursued because of public health evidence, end of quote. Oh, shocker. There's a political aspect to all this? Go figure. Yes, there were elections to win and Trump to smear, so sacrifices had to be made. The Atlantic continued its recent trend of pandemic policy questioning by publishing a piece. Gosh, I sound like Razor Fist in that sentence. Let me try that again. The Atlantic continued its recent trend of pandemic policy questioning by publishing a piece that analyzed the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention assertion that schools without mask mandates have triple the risk of COVID outbreaks. It appears that that claim is based on poor science. You blinded me with science. How did research with so many obvious flaws make its way through all the layers of internal technical review? And why was it promoted so aggressively by the agency's director? I reached out to Walensky's office to ask about the study, noting its evident limitations and outlier result. How, if at all, does this research figure into the agency's continuing guidance for schools around the country? The CDC did not respond to my inquiries. With Biden in the White House, the CDC has promised to, quote, follow the science in its COVID policies. Yet the circumstances around the Arizona study seem to show the opposite. Dubious research has been cited after the fact, without transparency in support of existing agency guidance. Quote, research requires trust and the ability to verify work, end quote. Ketchum, the ASU public health economist, told me. That's the heart of science. The saddest part of this is the erosion of trust. Do any of you trust? Wait a minute, let me ask this question properly. Do any of you, my audience, do any of you right now trust the science? As if it was science. Giving the continuing projections that 2022 will be a robust year of victory for the Republican Party, the Democrats and their bureaucratic supporters are going to regret all their decisions, both on the president, too late for that, and the pandemic. Yeah, Democrats are not happy with their current president, and I just find it humorous. Personally, I find it fascinating that articles in leading publications are now questioning lockdown effectiveness and school mask mandates, which would have got them booted from social media 6 months ago. I don't know if, I don't know how social media is dealing with this right now, because they're right. A lot of publications are kind of questioning this, and even on the social media, which is the places you're supposed to get, kind of booted for it. But, these publications are never going to get booted. But I'm just curious. Anyway, let's see. Dr. Fauci, Torquemada will save your soul. My daughter got her 2 shots and she don't need a mask for school. Good for her. See, I don't even know. I guess, I don't have kids in school anymore, so I don't know what they're doing around here. I know some schools require masks, some don't. I know, even yesterday I went into the post office, right? And I think there was a sign for masks, but only about, I went in there and I didn't pay attention to this. I actually looked at the sign on my way out because wasn't sure, because everyone in line, except for like one person, was wearing a mask, and I forgot to bring a mask with me. So I'm standing in line. No one's looking at me funny. And then I look over at the 3 clerks, and only one of the 3 clerks was wearing their mask when I got in line. And then by the time I got up there, 2 of the 3 were wearing their masks, but the clerk that I was talking to wasn't wearing her mask. And I'm like, oh, maybe they just aren't making you wear a mask in here. Because I thought, well, they're quasi-government, so I don't know. Anyway, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to go to this one. So there's an article in the Huffington Post about Omicron and its symptoms. And this is, I just wanted to read this just to kind of see. Oh, it's an AP story, it looks like. Anyway, so Omicron is now this is not. Oh, it is HuffPost. Omicron is now the dominant variant. A dominant stupid 19 variant in the U.S. Federal health officials said Monday that Omicron variant accounted for an estimated 73% of new coronavirus infections last week. Now, we know that from the South African studies that it is more transmissible, but it has milder symptoms. So maybe this article will tell us about the symptoms. I think this is the right one. Anyway, the nation's second largest city, Boston. Oh, that's not the nation's second largest city. Anyway, the nation's second largest city called off its New Year celebration Monday, and its smallest state reimposed an indoor mask mandate. Good God. As the Omicron variant leapt ahead of other variants to become the dominant version of the coronavirus in the U.S. The moves in Los Angeles and Rhode Island reflected widening fears of a potentially devastating dark winter of COVID-19 surge. Much of the concern is being driven by Omicron variant, which federal health officials announced accounted for 73% of new infections last week, a nearly 6-fold increase in only 7 days. Omicron's prevalence is higher in some parts of the U.S. It's responsible for an estimated 90% of new infections in the New York area. Isn't New York kind of one of the most vaccinated states in the country, other than Vermont? The Southeast and the industrial Midwest and the Pacific Northwest, federal officials said. The announcement underscored the variant's remarkable ability to race across oceans and continents. It was first reported in South Africa less than a month ago. Scientists say Omicron spreads more easily than other coronavirus strains, including Delta, though though many details about it remain unknown, including whether it causes more or less severe illness. Now, have there already been reports on that? I don't know. But even if it is milder, the new variant could still overwhelm health systems because of the sheer number of infections. Organizers of the New Year's Eve party planned for Grant Park in downtown LA nixed plans for an in-person audience, say the event would be live streamed instead, as it was last year. In Rhode Island, which has the most new cases per capita over the last 2 weeks, masks or proof of vaccination will be required in most indoor establishments for at least the next 30 days. I'm so glad I don't live in Rhode Island. By the way, as I told you, when we went to the Mall of America this past Sunday, it was packed. And in Boston, the city's new Democratic mayor announced to howls of protest that anyone entering a restaurant, bar, or other indoor businesses will need to show proof of vaccination starting next month. City employees will also be required to get vaccinated. There is nothing more American than coming... Oh, this is the new Boston mayor, Michelle Wu. There is nothing more American than coming together to ensure that we're taking care of each other, Mayor Michelle Wu said in City Hall as protesters loudly blew whistles and said, "Shame on Wu!" Oh my gosh, that's so racist. That's so racist. Or is that just a play on words? I haven't decided if that's racist or a play on words.
That's racist!
Is it? Okay, well, whatever. Eric Russley, a 44-year-old Providence, Rhode Island resident, says recent events prompted her family to pump the brakes on everyday activities. The elementary school teachers and her physician husband pulled their 2 young daughters from swim lessons this week, limited their play dates, canceled medical appointments, even though the whole family is fully vaccinated. Whoa! Why? I thought, never mind, I'm not going to go there. The past week or so, we've really just shut things down. It's not worth it, Russley said. We're back where we were pre-summer, pre-vaccine. It's square one almost. In New York City, where a spike in infections is already scuttling Broadway shows and causing long lines at testing centers, Mayor Bill de Blowhard is expected to decide this week whether the city's famous New Year's Eve bash in Times Square will come back full strength as he promised in November. I doubt it. He's a prick. Everybody hates him anyway. And he's the outgoing mayor, so he can do whatever the hell he wants, and nobody's, other than piss people off, nobody cares. North of the border, the Canadian province of Quebec imposed a 10 p.m. closing time for restaurants, bans. Now, what the? That's so stupid. What's the difference if restaurants close at 10 p.m. or 2 a.m.? All it's going to do is pack more people in the smaller time frames. Anyway, they imposed a 10 p.m. closing time for restaurants, banned spectators from sporting events, and shuttered gyms and schools and mandated remote work. Across the Atlantic, the World Economic Forum announced Monday that it would again delay its annual meeting of world leaders, business executives, and other elites in Davos, Switzerland. Well, maybe they won't be able to scheme their plan to take over the world in the New World Order. In Britain, but in Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Monday that officials decided against imposing further restrictions, at least for now. Don't they already have a lot of restrictions over there? Any of you Brits, what are the restrictions over there? I'm curious. COVID is a night hawk. It really loves infecting you after business hours. Yes, that's so true, Avocado Stably. It was, remember early on they were trying to have those rules, and it's just like, if you get home before 10, you won't get COVID. Hang on, I need to do one of these Kermit the Frog sippy things. Anyway, let's see. conservative government reimposed face masks in shops and ordered people to show proof of vaccination at nightclubs and other crowded venues earlier this month. Oh, see, they have they have to prove vaccination to go anywhere. Isn't that special? It is weighing curfews and stricter social distancing requirements. Look, okay, again, let me just reiterate. So we have some science from the scientists in South Africa who've been describing how this particular strain, the Omicron variant, has milder symptoms and whatever. And I just don't get it. It's like, this is the one you want. This is the one you want to get herd immunity, I would think. If people get this one and they're not dying from it, because remember, I don't think they've had a whole lot of hospitalizations from this yet. At least that's, now granted, it's whipped through the country so fast. I don't know if that's still the case or not, but anyway, we'll get into the symptoms in a minute. We will have to reserve the possibility of taking further actions to protect the public, Johnson said. The argument either way are finely balanced. Johnson's warning throws in stark relief the unpalatable choice government leaders face: wreck holiday plans for millions for a second consecutive year, or face a potential tidal wave of cases and disruption. In the United States, President Biden planned to address the nation on the latest variant on Tuesday, less than a year after he suggested that the country would essentially be back to normal by Christmas. Oh. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the president would issue a stark warning and make it clear that unvaccinated individuals will continue to drive hospitalizations and death, she said, calmly and with great empathy. U.S. vaccine maker Moderna announced Monday that lab tests suggest that a booster dose of its vaccine should offer protection against Omicron. Similar testing by Pfizer on its vaccine also found that a booster triggered a big jump in Omicron-fighting antibodies. Well, isn't that convenient that their own scientists at their own labs have made that determination? It hasn't worked before. Kind of. Not out, but it will make your symptoms less severe of this already less severe variant. Anyway, they don't. It's funny how they just stopped talking about, remember when this came out and they the South African scientists were saying that it is has less severe symptoms, less likely hospitalization, less likely death. Why aren't they saying that in the AP article here? Has that changed? And if it has changed, maybe we should know that. Or, oh wait, what's the name of this stream? Be Afraid. But how convenient that these two companies have, they announced that the medicine that the juice, the Fauci juice that they're putting out it's definitely fighting Omicron variant. The country is averaging nearly 130,500 new stupid 19 cases a day, up from 122,000 a day 2 weeks ago, according to Johns Hopkins University data. In Texas, a hospital system in Houston reports that Omicron already accounts for 82% of new symptomatic stupid 19 cases. It is treating a dramatic increase from Friday, when testing showed that it was responsible for just 45% of the system's cases. But in Mizzou, aka Missouri, for those of you who don't know American slang for certain states, an early epicenter of the Delta surge, the variant still accounts for 98 to 99% of COVID-19 samples, according to the state's Department of Health and Senior Services. Well, I'm curious now. I am really curious. 82% of symptomatic cases in Houston, Texas, but only but the Delta surge, or Delta, whatever, is 99% of cases in Missouri. How could that be? How could that be? I don't know. Meanwhile, hospitals in Ohio have postponed elective surgeries, while governors in Maine and New Hampshire have sent the National Guard reinforcements to help beleaguered hospital staff in recent days. Well, maybe they shouldn't have fired so much of their own staff. Or maybe they, well, I don't know. In Kansas, what's the matter with Kansas? Rural hospitals are struggling to transfer patients, with some left stranded in emergency rooms for a week while they wait for a bed. Overwhelmed hospitals as far away as Minnesota and Michigan have been calling, looking for beds in larger Kansas hospitals. What? Wait a minute. Overwhelmed hospitals as far away as Minnesota and Michigan? Why are they're looking for beds in Kansas hospitals? Often they're simply in a room. Okay, I got to talk to some friends. Maybe Jess would know that. Jess works in a hospital. Are the hospitals overwhelmed? I know. Is it because of staffing or because of space? Because I know in some places it's because of staffing. When you say you're at capacity for staffing, and a lot of staffing has gone away. Just saying. It's crazy. It's already as crazy as it can be when you're talking about moving people from Minnesota to Kansas City for treatment. Dr. Richard Watson, founder of Motion, a company contracting with Kansas to help manage transfers. Interesting. Still, many political leaders are reluctant to impose the stiff measures they resorted to earlier in the pandemic. France is desperately trying to avoid a new lockdown that would hurt the economy and cloud President Emmanuel Macron's expected re-election campaign. Well, we wouldn't want to do that. Government in Paris, however, has banned public concerts and firework displays at New Year's celebration. Okay, you know what? Isn't it? Oh, by the way, good morning, Reese. How you doing? So it would seem to me that outdoor events is kind of what you want, isn't it? Because isn't there some evidence that this is being spread when people are pushed back indoors? Like, in Florida, the wave was during the end of the summer, heat of the summer, when people go indoors more. And then as that ended and people go outdoors more, Florida's case rate compared to the rest of the country has become the lowest. And now as people get colder weather, they go indoors in various states. You can see how that wave is going up the country, right? And then you get more cases. You would think you'd want people to be outside, but hey, who knows? It's not like, oh, I know what it is. The smoke from fireworks is a carrier of COVID. I don't know. Ireland has imposed an 8 p.m. curfew on pubs and bars and limited attendance at indoor and outdoor events. While Greece will have 10,000 police officers on duty over the holidays to carry out stupid 19 pass checks. Good Lord. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, Jim Cramer. Remember Jim Cramer's talking about getting having the military come out and enforce people to get vaccinated and things like that. Triple vaxxed and what is it? Okay, wait a minute. The hat trick pricked Jim Cramer. And he tested positive for COVID. CNBC's Jim Cramer said Monday he's tested positive for stupid 19, isolating at home with a mild case. I have COVID. I have COVID. I came down with COVID on Thursday night, Cramer said in a squawk of the street. He added that he's been triple vaccinated, 2 shots of Moderna and a Moderna booster. I know exactly how I got it. He said, I was on the event where you had to have PCR test. I got it that night from someone who was tested that day. The problem is it works so fast you can't stop it. Kramer said his wife is sicker than he is. She had J&J and Moderna, so she had the cross-dosing booster. He revealed, referring to the Johnson & Johnson Stupid 19 Fauci juice and a Moderna booster shot. Moderna said before the bell Monday that a 3rd dose of its Stupid 19 Fauci juice appears to provide significant protection against Omicron variant. Shares open 9% higher. Yes, see, Moderna says that our vaccine will protect you against the Omicron variant, and all these people out here screaming Omicron variant, and then all people get the Moderna Fauci juice, right? And then Pfizer said the same thing about their Fauci juice, and so yes, of course their shares opened 9% higher, but they paired those gains shortly thereafter, and by midday they were lower. So, when they said that their Fauci juice appears to provide significant protection against Omicron variant, their shares opened 9% higher. Huh. Can't imagine. Without a booster, Moderna's vaccine has been found to be far less effective against Omicron variant. The company said it'll continue to develop an Omicron-specific booster. If you'd like to lessen the chance of getting very sick, I think you should get vaccinated, Kramer said. There's never a cold I've had that was as weak as this, ever. Wait, there's never a cold I've had that was weaker than this. So him being sick because it's weaker than a cold. Now, granted, he is triple juiced. He's got the hat trick prick. That didn't sound right. Anyway, despite getting COVID himself, despite the Omicron variant spreading as Delta cases remain elevated, the Mad Money host said he doesn't understand what he called the profound negativity on Wall Street. The recent market sell-off, including Monday's decline, looks like a chance to buy stocks, Kramer said. The idea, okay, whatever, Jim, whatever, don't care. Holy crap. Yeah, this is kind of nuts. Let's see. Oh, by the way, what always take a chance at opportunity. Let's see, we did the White House, we did this. I had one open on the what do you call it? The effects. But apparently I must have accidentally gotten rid of that. All right, so anyway, now, never letting a crisis go to waste, the Democrats have decided that they're going to push for a few things regarding Omicron variant. Democrats urge health officials to require vaccination or negative test for domestic flights. A group of Democratic lawmakers sent letters to the Federal Aviation Administration and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Monday asking officials to require proof of vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test to fly domestically. The letter sent to FAA Administrator Steve Dixon and CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, who will do whatever the Democrats tell her to do, were signed by Senators Dianne Feinstein of California, along with Representative Eric Swallowswell of California, Donald Byer of Virginia, and Richie Torres of New York. The lawmakers cited the recent emergence of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus as justification for the request. Quote, travel at our nation's airports has essentially returned to pre-pandemic levels, but the risk from stupid 19, including from its new variant Omicron, continues to present a major public health threat, the lawmakers wrote, requiring proof of truth of, what is it? It doesn't roll off the tongue that well. Proof of hat trick prick or negative tests for domestic flights would improve public health and address concerns that passengers have about flying. You know, it's weird because you would think if you had heard of a whole bunch of people who've gotten cases because of the domestic flying, you'd think you'd hear about it. But the air transfer at airplanes is almost like being outdoors. It's as good as operating rooms, the filtration and air transfer. So maybe that's why you haven't heard that. I don't know. Anyway, real quick. We have a sponsor today, and first sponsor of the day, and that would be BBC Rentals. Thank you for sponsoring the show. BBC Rentals, a longtime sponsor of the Morning Night Live, who says, in honor of Biden's Build Back Better bill, we at BBC Rentals are happy launching our new services of BBB Rentals of bend bitches over the balcony or bend her bitch's ass over the bed. Try BBC Rentals, unless you're racist. Thank you, BBC Rentals, for sponsoring the show. As always, you are a fine company. And please, between BBC Rentals and American Company, you can probably take care of all your needs, if you know what I mean. Thank you, BBC Rentals. I'm at a loss for words for a moment. Okay. So anyway, travel at nation airports essential. Okay, but I already said that. This is the letter. Look, this article, as every article I produce or video or whatever that I mention on the show, will be in the special tab down below, special link down below in the description. After the show, I'll add it, and it will have every article, every video, everything that I've covered to the extent that I can provide that information in a single link in the description down below, where all the tabs will be on one page. So there you go. The CDC requires either a negative test or proof of vaccination for international travel, and the lawmakers argues that airlines and health agencies could easily adapt their health systems and protocols to accommodate the proposed requirements for domestic travelers. So they're going to give away free, instant testing on the airlines. What are the... I'm so glad I got my trip out of the way, but I want to be able to travel again. I don't want this crap. The proposal follows decisions by several countries to ban international travel as the Omicron variant spreads across the world. It remains unclear how severe the variant's impact will be on the U.S. health system, and as cases have already begun to drop in South Africa, where Omicron... Wait a minute. That's new information. Cases have already begun to drop in South Africa, where Omicron originated. That's interesting. When reached for comment, the FAA referred to the Daily Caller News Foundation to the CDC, who did not immediately respond to the Daily Caller News Foundation's request for comment. So they're going to be batting that back and forth. I got a feeling that if Walensky, is that her name? The crazy lady at who runs the CDC? I got a feeling that maybe, I think the Biden administration may not want to go to that particular last step. I suppose there would need to be evidence. Oh, by the way, BBC Rentals.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you again for sponsoring the show. I appreciate you. By the way, I'm going to be changing up some of the alert gifts that pop up during the show when you do donations via Streamlabs, and I may be adding some to the YouTube Super Chat side. So you can look at the list and see if you're curious, what you can put on the screen. I did just add a Sammy Hagar one. You'll see that as I Can't Drive 55 GIF. Anyway, let's see. What else do I got here? It's already 10:14 or 11:14 for those of you on the East Coast. So I already did this one. So Dr. Anthony Fauci is urging that we do more. We need to do more. Fauci urges vaccinated Americans to do more. It's more than just getting a vaccination. Now, I am quite curious about this one because, the vaccinated Americans are spreading it just as much as the non-vaccinated. And he wants them to do more, and I'm not really sure why. But we'll find out what Dr. Anthony Fauci thinks about this. Because, he can just try and make it more comfortable and more palatable to people about, because getting vaccinated and having masks, maybe double masking, because some, it can't hurt to double mask. And if you just keep doing it, maybe we'll have this, we'll get control of this virus. Dr. Anthony Fauci suggests on Sunday that fully vaccinated Americans who received a stupid 19 booster shot should still do more, wearing masks and undergoing coronavirus tests before gatherings, congregate settings, despite the fact that public health officials originally pitched vaccines as the avenue to return to a state of pre-pandemic normalcy. Well, we've got to do better. I mean, we're doing better, Fauci said during an appearance on CNN's State of the Union when asked if the state of testing is currently acceptable in America. If you look now compared to what we were a year ago, it's extraordinarily much different in the positive sense. We now have multiple at-home tests available when we virtually had none a year ago. But we do need to do better, he said, expressing the need to flood the system with testing. We need to have tests available for anyone who wants them, particularly when we're in a situation right now where people are going to be gathering, he continued, suggesting that vaccinated and boosted Americans should still seek out tests. Let's see, he warns of record high cases, hospitalizations, and death. Anyway, even though they are vaccinated and boosted, they may want to go that extra step, that extra mile, to know that when we have people coming into the home where they are going someplace that you can know in 15 minutes whether or not you're positive, Fauci said, later adding that the vaccinated individuals should still exercise and wear a mask when traveling in indoor congregate settings. It's going to be tough. We can't walk away from that, Jake Tapper, because with Omicron variant that we're dealing with, it is going to be tough for a few weeks to months as we get deeper into the winters. Oh, the dark winter? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Fauci also argued that the U.S. does not have a proper veil of protection because 50 million eligible Americans are still unvaccinated. However, the public health official admitted that it would not end there. Masking and testing, he added, is still crucial. But we have got to realize that it is more than just getting vaccination. Vaccination is absolutely essential part of the process, but there are other things, and that's the reason why we stress the idea about masking and testing. Once again, contradicting what public health officials said at the start of the vaccine rollout, where they presented vaccines as a way out of the pandemic. Anyway, people think vaccine is the answer to everything. We can't do without vaccines, Jake, but we can do a lot more with other things. And testing, for example, both yourself and your family when you're getting ready to do something, go out into the community and, out of the community, or when you're going to have people in your own house, he added, stressing testing as part of the president's winter plan. So, yay! The winter plan to stay out of the dark winter. Go figure. All right. So I'm running out of time here. So there was a couple of articles that I had pulled up that, one in particular that caught my eye. So y'all remember Do y'all remember who Michael Fanone is? Michael Fanone. Does that name ring a bell? So there was a certain police officer from the Capitol Police who apparently during the January 6th ordeal, the riot, apparently he got knocked the fuck out during that. Now, I absolutely do not advocate for that. I think the people who are fighting with police, need to be prosecuted as appropriate, right? But this is the guy who got kind of beat up and knocked out or whatever. And since that time, it must have been when he was knocked out and he went to the hospital and they got him all cleared out, they must have included some sort of electromagnetic charge to his face, because there was a period of time where he just seemed to have this weird attraction to cameras and being interviewed. Okay. And he did interviews constantly on scene. I mean, he was almost as ubiquitous as Michael Avenatti. Maybe not quite that ubiquitous, but boy, they loved to trot this guy. And then he trotted out at the congressional hearings on January 6th, and he's just been on TV. And his fellow officers, they kind of frowned upon this guy grandstanding so much, right? Well, I saw this article yesterday, and I got the archive version ready for the hopper. Fanone resigns from D.C. police force 11 months after battling insurrectionist mob at the Capitol. They can't just say riot. They have to say insurrectionists mob. So anyway, Michael Fanone's resigning. Oh no! Michael Fanone, the D.C. police officer who was dragged into a mob and beaten during the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and later publicly excoriated lawmakers and others who downplayed the attack. He said he submitted his that's bad. They said he submitted his resigned from the force Monday. I think they meant resignation. The 41-year-old officer will officially when you see this headline though, okay, think about how the media has treated the officers. And I'm fine. These guys have a tough job. They've either treated them as heroes, which is fine. They did protect the Capitol like they're supposed to, because there wasn't that much to protect. But also they've treated these officers as victims, right? They've treated them as victims. So Michael Fanone has been almost universally treated as a victim. So when I see the headline, Michael Fanone resigns from D.C. police force 11 months after battling insurrectionist mob, I think, oh my gosh, he finally maybe has some trauma or whatever from his time being in that mob, because he did get KO'd and whatever, and I don't know how, obviously he didn't lose any life or limb, but he was KO'd. And I thought, okay, I wonder though if he's resigning because of the trauma from being, in this Capitol mob, this riot that he was, I'm sure from his injuries, and maybe he's, contemplating, Epsteining himself or something like that. And I thought, and then the first paragraph, Michael Fanone, the D.C. police officer who was dragged into a mob and beaten during the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol and later publicly excoriated lawmakers and others who downplayed the attack, said he submitted his resignation from the force on Monday. Now, Oh, nobody, not me. That's not fair. You're not supposed to tell people that. The 41-year-old officer will officially depart December 31st after using previously acquired leave. Fanon, whose frequent appearances on national television caused consternation among police officers, said he will be an on-air contributor to This Is CNN on law enforcement issues, and CNN did not immediately comment. Fanon, who voted for Trump in 2016 but did not support his re-election bid, spent months after the January... Okay, where's my X to doubt? I want it back. Spent months after the January 6th riot repeatedly warning about threats to democracy, often alongside CNN anchor Don Lemon. But his public appearances... Now, this is interesting. His public appearances did not sit well with some fellow officers who, according to Fanon, derided him in private internet chat forums for police. Quote, clearly there are some members of our department who feel their oath is to Donald Trump and not the Constitution, Fanon said Monday. He said there are just 2 current D.C. police officers he still counts as friends. Now, hey, Tyre, how you doing? Now, this is fascinating that his public appearances did not sit well with some fellow officers. Could it be that possibly, I don't know, because I give these officers credit if they were actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. They should not have been in harm's way when they were just protecting the Capitol building, right? And so, if this guy got hurt, and that's fine. But when he says some members of the department feel their oath is to Donald Trump and not the Constitution, I think to myself, maybe the reason that it didn't sit well with a lot of officers is because a lot of officers don't like it when other officers start grandstanding. And he seemed, now, and as I listened to his testimony for Congress, I noticed that over the months that he was telling a story, it got more severe and more severe and more severe every time he told it. And it almost started to sound like he's a bit of a fabulist. I don't know. It just sometimes seems that way. But anyway, and then the fact that he says, well, clearly there are some members of our department who feel their oath is to Donald Trump and not the Constitution. Or maybe they just don't like you grandstanding and being on TV all the time because, they're just out there to do their job. And maybe, you trying to get notoriety from this event is not helping at all. I'm curious. Anyway, D.C. Police and the Office of Mayor Muriel E. Bowser did not immediately comment on Fanon's pending departure. Fanon has spent months recovering from physical and emotional issues stemming from the January 6 events and was returned to limited duty in September. He had wanted to work at the training academy, but was assigned to a division that analyzes crime statistics. His full police arrest powers and firearm were returned to him earlier this month, a milestone he said was important to push back against people who might accuse him of being forced out. He said his departure comes 5 years before he can retire with a pension. And then apparently he joined the force 20 years ago, yada, 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 if you want to know more. But anyway, this part, so they describe, then they go into the description of what happened to him on January 6th. He joined the force 20 years ago, answered a citywide emergency January 6th, and rushed to the Capitol to fend off with pro-Trump rioters. He was dragged off the West Terrace and pummeled unconscious with fists and poles. He suffered a heart attack. His police radio and badge were ripped off. His police radio and badge were ripped off, and one person tried to yank the gun from his holster. We got one, a rider yelled. Kill him with his own gun. He was dragged to safety and later recounted his story. Wait, he's telling this whole story himself. How does he know all this if he was pummeled unconscious? Anyway, he was dragged to safety and later recounted his story to the Washington Post and on television, every television station that would take him, and more, and multiple times. It became an instant symbol of a police department that had come to rescue the overrun Capitol Police, and in the words of D.C. Police Chief Robert J. Conte Jr., saved democracy. No, they did not save democracy. They did quell a riot, and the rioters went home that day and did not try to take over democracy. Fanone continued to speak out, often without permission from the department, discussing his slow recovery from physical and emotional trauma and his growing disdain for people and lawmakers who didn't agree a riot had occurred. Now, I don't know anyone who say a riot had not occurred. Okay? I've not heard anybody say that. Now, there are certain elements that people say may not have occurred, or there's elements that, let's just say there's a lot to learn from January 6th. I'll put it that way, because there's a whole lot of questions that people have, and there's a whole lot of footage that nobody's seen, and there's a whole lot of questioning about certain people who aren't, let's just say they haven't been charged with anything or even caught, even though they might have been major instigators. I'm just saying. In July, he joined other officers testifying before Congress about their experience. He slammed his fist on the table, saying, "Nothing, truly nothing, has prepared me to address those elected members of our government who continued to deny the events of that day, and in doing so, betray their oath of office." He later stood next to President Biden as he signed the bill to award officers who fought the mob a Congressional Gold Medal. Fanone also joined a Capitol Police officer and toured offices on Capitol Hill seeking to meet with lawmakers who voted against awarding the medal to officers. He jumped into an elevator with one representative, voted no, and then said that lawmaker had refused to shake his hand. Well, because he was brought in as a political testimony, and he's clearly spent a lot of his time, instead of making descriptive statements, making political statements. So that's why. So anyway, thought you'd find that fascinating. He could end up on an FTG chart someday. Now, there is another interesting thing here. I'm going to find my bookmarks, because this is important regarding that too. And then we're going to close it out for the day. Some people are upset that Kyle Rittenhouse got kind of a rock star reception at Turning Point USA event in Arizona. If you're on Twitter, you can look that up yourself. But here's one that's really fascinating. This article in Revolver News, and I don't know why it didn't stay in my list here, and hopefully it kind of closed on its own. What the hell? Hang on a second here. Let's just put it back where it is. And I'm not going to be able to get into it real deep today, but this is some details about that particular day that you may not be reading in the mainstream media, although it was breached. It was breached in a tiny little way in the New York Times at one point. But apparently there's this gentleman or person named Ray Epps. Okay, Ray Epps. Learn that name and see if you ever hear it again, other than in a few alternative type media things. Damning new details exposing a massive web of unindicted operators at the heart of January 6th. So there's a whole bunch of people that they know were there that they don't seem to want on the, on their wanted list or getting arrested or whatnot. 6 weeks ago, Revolver News published a blockbuster investigative report on Ray Epps, a man who more than any other individual appears to be the key to unlocking the question of active federal involvement in the so-called Capitol siege on January 6th. Oh, Eve, what's happening? Thank you, Eve, so much for sponsoring the show. Wait, what? Oh. Thank you for sponsoring the show. And by the way, Chaos Eve, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Bro, you need donos to get better equipment. How long you been working out of a Game Boy Color? Can't stay, but wanted to stop by and show you some love. You are so special, my friend. Thank you so much, Eve. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, you're right. I haven't changed it up lately, have I? I've probably been in this setup for a year. Thank you for reminding me. I should change it up. I'll change it up for the new year. I'll start putting together a new presentation of the Morning Night Live or the PDawgKnight Live channel. Thank you, Eve, so much for sponsoring the show. You're awesome. So this guy, Ray Epps, a man who more than any other individual appears to be the key to unlocking the question of active federal involvement in the so-called Capitol siege or insurrection of January 6th. Out of all the thousands of January 6th protesters and the thousands of hours of publicly available footage from that fateful day, Ray Epps has turned out to be perhaps the only person nailed dead to rights, confessing on camera to plotting a pre-planned attack on the Capitol on both January 5th and January 6th. And Epps announced multiple times at multiple locations his upcoming plot to breach the U.S. Capitol. He spent hours attempting to recruit hundreds of others to join him. On top of it all, Epps has been seen leading key people and managing key aspects of the initial breach of the Capitol grounds himself. In fact, I think this is him.
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol.
This guy.
Into the Capitol.
This guy.
Peacefully. Fed.
And they've been, if you're saying fed.
I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say it.
We need to go. I'll say it.
All right.
We need to go in.
Shut the fuck up, boomer.
To the Capitol.
Based Fed posting? All right. We need to go into the Capitol. I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Monument Hill.
So they've seen him.
We are going to the Capitol. Where our problems
This
are.
guy.
It's that direction.
This guy.
Please spread the
This fucking guy.
Okay, but one more thing.
Yeah, so can we go up there? No?
When we go in,
Are we going to get arrested if we
leave
go
this
up there?
here. You don't need to get
Did you
shot.
arrest us all?
Is up there. Okay, so anyway, you can watch this footage in the article on your own. Now, it would be one thing if Epps' repeated calls on January 5th to go into the Capitol had simply amounted to bluster. But Epps followed through on his stated mission to shepherd others inside. In clips 4 through 6 of the above compilation, we see Epps actively orchestrating elements of the very first breach of the Capitol barricades at 12:50 p.m. while Trump still had 20 minutes left in his rally speech. It is noteworthy that this Ray Epps breach occurs just 1 minute after Capitol Police began responding to reports of 2 pipe bombs located at DNC and GOP headquarters, respectively. Rather conveniently, the already handicapped Capitol Police thus had still fewer resources with which to respond to the barricade breach in question. Now, while pipe bombs turned out to be a dud, the Ray Epps breach proved faithful. Today, the official stories told by the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the U.S. Justice Department all depict the apparent Ray Epps orchestrated 12:50 p.m. initial breach of metal barricades as the Big Bang event of January 6th. In large part, this description is hardly an exaggeration. Indeed, it was the 12:50 p.m. breach of the Capitol grounds in conjunction with a handful of suspicious individuals ripping down fencing and signage that set in motion the conditions allowing for the 1-6 to turn from rally into riot. In this report, we will blow up in this network of still unindicted key operators who appear to have been at work either with or around Ray Epps during the initial Capitol grounds breach. You, dear reader, will be scandalized, though perhaps unsurprised, to learn that none of the actors covered in this report have received attention in the mainstream press. Shocker! Despite their active and indispensable roles in the events of January 6th. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole article, but I'm going to have it in the link down below in the description because I'm already out of time. But what's super, super duper curious about this, the FBI responded to these important media stories the very next day, but the response was to quietly purge all online Ray Epps files from their website, then switched to a posture of, what? Who? Ray Epps? Never heard of him. They haven't arrested him. They know where he lives. He's in Phoenix, and but the field office in there, Phoenix, apparently has explicitly denied knowledge that Ray Epps even exists. Instead of pursuing Ray Epps, FBI agents have instead pursued journalists who had the temerity to ask Epps in person if he was a government operative. I understand that, but I can't say anything, as all Epps would tell them. So here's a quick visual, and then we're going to move on because I don't have time to do this today. Maybe we'll get into this more later. But so January 8th through July 1st, 2021, FBI makes Ray Epps a top suspect on the most wanted list. Multiple calls for public help to identify him. Cash reward offered for information leading to arrest. Public local newspapers ID Epps living in Phoenix, Arizona. Then on July 1st, 2021, to the president. Suddenly they delete Epps from the database after press exposure. No arrest and no explanation given. U.S. Attorney General refuses to answer questions, and FBI agents in Phoenix, Arizona deny all knowledge that Epps exists. So, Ray Epps joins John, whatever that dude, the Antifa guy's name, seem to have, well, let's say they seem to encourage certain types of very glowy activity on the Capitol on January 6th. And this article goes on and on and on. Otherwise, I'd read it. But just loads of pictures and, all kinds of evidence of what's going on, what happened on January 6th that makes it seem to be quite the very, what's a delicate way to put this without without having someone contact me. Just very, Quantico-esque. Quantico-esque activities surrounding that day. Okay, that's about as close as I can get to saying it. But I'll leave the Revolver article in the link in the description down below, which I will update as soon as the outro starts playing. Ladies and gentlemen, I must thank you. You are fine Americans for joining me today, and I appreciate everyone who has been in the chat, and those of you who sponsored the show today, BBC Rentals in particular, and Chaos Eve, who is the superstar donor of the day. Thanks everybody for being here. It's a privilege and an honor to serve you daily, or at least Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. Leave a comment in the comment section. Hit the like button if you haven't already done it. Not a whole lot of people came here today, but that's okay. I enjoyed the ones who made it. Please, if you share the stream before, during, after the show, and if you'd be so kind, if you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section so I know you were here. And then if you want to sponsor the show, like some people do, very often, you can do that in the description. The how to do that's in the description down below, or you can just go to PDawgKnight.live 24 hours a day. Yes, Reese, you are all fine Americans, including you, even if you're not American. because I said so. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Thank you so much. I gotta go. My name is PDawgKnight. And I'm out of here. You got the double finger today. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.